before we even start this, let me, because I know for sure that no matter what I do, my words are going to be twisted out of context. So before I begin this, let me put on the record what my feelings about Israel are, right? So first of all, let me put on the record that I have a great amount of admiration and respect for Israel and the Israeli people. I mean, what's not to admire and respect them about, right? First of all, why do I admire Israel and the Israeli people? First of all, they have succeeded in overcoming the incredible atrocity of the Holocaust. Yes.
Other things happen to us other than the Holocaust. Also, when a person is saying something like this, like people will twist my word, blah, 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 I'm kind of like scared to hear what he has to say, because that sounds like, don't twist my word, I love this and that, and then he's, saying the worst things. So let's just wait and see.
Which happened during the Second World War in Europe, which was done by the Nazis. Yes, they were able to overcome that at great expense, personal expense. Yeah, so many Jews were murdered. It was a genocide, and the Israelis, the Jewish people, they started afresh in a new place.
Okay, really annoying, because every time I'm telling you guys, yes, the Holocaust happened and that was terrible. However, bad things happened to people also outside of Europe. When people were in Arab countries and stuff, things really bad also happening to them. So just to talk about the Holocaust as, Holocaust and then Israel, this is not what actually happened.
Promised land, the ancient promised land, the ancient land of Israel, right?
Yep.
So one must admire them for that, and one admires them not just for that, and not just for surviving in this place, but also thriving in a very bad neighborhood. Look at the kind of neighbors that Israel has. They have not just survived; they have thrived there, despite incredible odds, despite multiple major wars and multiple major conflicts since 1947. They have always been under siege. They have been surrounded by enemies, and yet they have thrived there, not just survived. And they have exhibited strong leadership, tough leadership, firm leadership. One must respect them for cherishing and reviving their culture. They have been drifting around for nearly 2,000 years, ever since the Romans took over Israel, that region. Yeah. So they have cherished their culture, they have revived their culture, they have pride in their culture, they revived the Hebrew language. It's something India is still struggling with. What is the Indian civilization language? We have been unable to revive Sanskrit. Yeah. And the Israelis have been able to do that. So
this is one thing I'm always telling you guys. If you really care about your history and about your culture, actually study it. With all due respect for you, all of you needs to be an engineers and stuff. Also become a teacher and educate other people about your own history.
Admires and respects them for that, and obviously I admire and respect them for excelling in so many different fields, in so many different domains, in technology, in information technologies,
okay, thank you. Now,
in the military,
what
domain,
you
in
are about to say,
in agriculture, in commerce, even in tourism. They've established themselves as a great tourism hub. It's a nation of entrepreneurs. It's a nation of very high standards. Israelis have a great amount of chutzpah, of tachles. They have this attitude.
Okay. Tachles, not tachles. However, it's funny that he said that. So chutzpah means attitude, for like, don't be scared to go and do things. Don't be scared to say what you think. And tachles is coming from the word tachlit, which means purpose. When we say tachles, and you're gonna hear us talk a lot and say a lot of tachles. When we say tachles, it's just like, either when I'm telling you, yalla, tachles, like get to the point, or when someone's saying something and you say tachles, like, yeah, that's the point. That's the main important thing. So we say the word tachles a lot.
Called tachles and so on. There is so much India can learn and should learn from Israel. So I have the greatest amount of admiration and respect for Israel for all these things and much more.
Yeah? Okay, but we also have a lot of things to learn from you guys. Let's just I don't know what this is about to be, but this is supposed to go both ways. This is the point of this channel, to educate you about my country and to learn about your amazing country and culture and everything. I'm sorry for my bad English. I'm so tired, and you know my English. I don't need to apologize anymore, but I still will.
And of course, we know that Israel is one of India's most important geopolitical, geostrategic relationships.
Oh, here we go with
India
this.
and Israel have a lot of things in common. I mean, we are collaborating and cooperating in the fields of security, in cybersecurity, in technology, information technology, in the military domain. We are developing various weapon systems together, like the Barak 8 missile system. In geopolitics and geostrategy, our interests are in a significant amount of alignment. Yes, in India and Israel are collaborating in agriculture, in commerce, and lots of Israelis come as tourists to India. Indians also go as tourists to Israel. So we have a very strong relationship, a very important relationship, and I am obviously very strongly in favor of robust India-Israel ties based on mutual interests, as it should be, right? And I would like to see the India-Israel relationship grow even stronger. So that is how I would like to preface what I'm going to discuss now, right? So please understand, I have the greatest amount of respect and admiration for Israel. Now let's talk about what happened. So let's put that on the screen now. So this is something that happened on Monday, this Monday.
Oh, he's talking about Nadav Lapid. I already made a video, I feel an apology video about this, because I and the rest of the Israeli people really don't respect him. We actually have a weird conversation about this with my friend, and when I asked them, like, do you know who that person is? And everyone said, oh, I don't know, I heard he's an idiot. Like, that's the only thing my friend have said. But after that, we talked about it, and we saw how much he's destroying not only Israel, but also apparently now India. So I'm so sorry, this guy. I'm so sorry about this guy. That is it.
There was this film festival in Goa, in India, in which this person called Nadav Lapid was invited. He was the head of the international jury of this film festival, the International Film Festival of India in Goa, IFFI jury. So Nadav Lapid was invited, and he was made the head, the chief of the IFFI international jury. And in his capacity as chief, he made certain comments about an Indian movie, the Kashmir Files. He called it. He said that this is a propaganda movie. It is vulgar, and when you say that something is propaganda, you're saying that it's lies. So the historical events, the events depicted in the movie are lies, right? He said it was vulgar propaganda and so on and so forth. He made certain very crude, not crude, but unfortunate remarks, and he made these remarks in the presence of senior Indian minister, high-ranking Indian minister, Mr. Anurag Thakur, the Minister of Information and Broadcasting, and also in the presence of Mr. Naor Gilon, the ambassador of Israel to India and Sri Lanka. Yeah. So this happened on November 29. Yes, and in response, Mr. Naor Gilon put out a tweet thread, a response. But first of all, we have to understand that one cannot blame the Israelis for what happened. I mean, the Israeli government and the Israeli people did not decide to send Naor Gilon to India and appoint him as the chief or the head of the jury. It was the Indian government that invited this person. And a simple Google search could tell you what kind of background and antecedents this person has. He is, well, what you could call in India, the term is anti-national. He is an Israeli anti-national. He supports the Palestinian cause, and he is anti-Israel. He is very critical about Israel's policies, and is critical of the Israeli government and the direction Israel is taking. So it was very clear what kind of political ideology and background he has, what we call the left liberal ideology, yes. So it was very clear, a simple cursory search online, a background check could have told the government of India what kind of person this gentleman is like. Apparently it was not done, or maybe it was done and still he was invited, and not only invited, but put on the jury and made the head of the jury. It is extremely disappointing.
Well, honestly, you know what? Based on what he said right now, that this is the government, and I don't think your government didn't do a Google search on him. I think they knew exactly what is happening. Right now, a lot of people in the world talking about the Kashmir Files because what he said. So I think that was a really smart, strategic thing to do, to invite a person that his opinions, and still let him be in the public eye and give him a lot of respect, and then let him say whatever he think should be said. That's pretty genius of you. I'll give you that. If that's really what happened, that was a genius move, India. Like, no publicity, like no such thing as a bad publicity apparently, but I still I don't feel comfortable with something like this.
What's happened? And this is a major failure on the part of the Indian government. It has to be criticized most strongly, right? It's a huge failure. This amounts to a security failure. This has impacted India-Israel relationship, the India-Israel ties, right? And it's not the fault of the Israelis that this happened.
Okay, perfectly clear. Maybe the governments, the Israeli people, we're still I felt like you saw several videos of Israeli people apologizing to the nation of India about what he said. Like, for us, that was not something that we thought that will hurt our relationship. Because bottom line, I thought you guys, that the people who are actually my friends, the people I talk to here in the comments or on Instagram, are still gonna be my friends after that. But at least this is what I thought.
It's the fault of the Indian government. I'm not sure who's responsible for this. So when you don't know who is responsible for something which went wrong, the buck stops at the top, right? So who is the head of the relevant ministry? It's Mr. Anurag Thakur. So one has to place the responsibility at his doorstep. So I'm not saying he is to blame, but it is at the end of the day his responsibility, and at the end of the day it's the Prime Minister's responsibility when something goes wrong or something goes well. So I think the Indian government has messed up very badly, and no matter how much criticism you give them, it's less, because this sort of thing should never have happened. The due diligence was not done. If it was done, then it was suppressed, and this person was still made the head of the jury. And then he went ahead and did what he did. Huge failure, very disappointing. So whoever is, I mean, I'm sure lots of people are criticizing the Indian government for this, and the criticism is well deserved. Now let's go to what the Israeli ambassador said. So first of all, yeah, that's what this person Navid.
The most annoying thing is after that, when people ask him about that and show him proofs and stuff, he just said like he still support whatever he said, Nadav Lapid. This is why I'm like so angry with him. Like people showed him proofs. This is just like how I asked you about the Kashmir files. Was it like, is it true? Is it a documentary? Is it like not a documentary? And then you explained to me that the director actually spoke with a lot of Kashmir survivors, which is like really, really important. And still, after all that information, the fact that he didn't apologize and continue saying and calling it a bad thing, that was like too much for me.
Lapid. That's what Nadav Lapid said about the movie. And then he went ahead and said that the film has fascist features. That's what he said later. And then he also said that I stand behind every word I said about Kashmir Files. Nadav Lapid, he said this to various Indian journalists, right? That's what happened.
He just loved the publicity. Seriously, he works in the media. I already said that. Like every time a person works in the media, be very, very careful of what he is saying, because most of the things he is saying is just to try to make you know who he is, Google his name. That's what people like this enjoy. People like this love publicity, not reality, which is a problem. Be very careful from a person who is working in the media and actually succeeding in the media. That is like, just like in general,